Hello, I'm Dr. Renee Navarro, Vice Chancellor of Diversity and Outreach. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2021 Chancellor Awards for Diversity's virtual celebration. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Ramaytush Ohlone people, who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Ramaytush Ohlone elders, past, present, and future, who call this place the land that UCSF sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Ramaytush Ohlone community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. Thank you for joining us today. Diversity is essential to excellence. Ultimately, our goal is to appreciate, celebrate, and leverage our differences so that we foster an equitable and inclusive environment where all individuals and groups have a sense of belonging as well as opportunities to reach their full potential. The Chancellor Awards for Diversity recognize the outstanding commitment and contributions of colleagues and learners to UCSF's diversity mission. This year, in alignment with our anti-racism initiative, we also want to commend those who have worked to dismantle systemic racism and reduce the impact of bias at UCSF and in our community. The recipients of today's awards are creative, resourceful, and determined people who have gone far and above beyond their normal responsibilities to make UCSF a place that truly welcomes, educates, and cares for all. Their accomplishments exemplify extraordinary leadership in advancing equity on our campus, medical centers, and in their respective fields. I am confident that you will find them all to be very inspiring. I would also like to take this opportunity to spotlight the work of 3 medical leaders at UCSF, out of our many local and national COVID heroes, for their commitment to addressing COVID-19 health and equity issues and making an impact in our local, often marginalized communities. Dr. Alicia Fernandez, Dr. Malcolm John, and Dr. Kim Rhodes have worked on the ground to support vulnerable populations across the Bay Area, particularly the Black, Latinx, and Pacific Islander communities that have been disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. From organizing free food programs and ensuring COVID tests and vaccine shots are available in underserved neighborhoods, to partnership with local community leaders and policymakers on how to most equitably approach this public health crisis. Their unfaltering dedication has made a lasting impact in the communities we serve and is also shaping how UCSF addresses health and healthcare inequity. Thank you, Dr. Fernandez, Dr. John, and Dr. Rhodes. Internally, while we also have many professionals who have stepped up in the fight to assure vaccination across all populations, I want to highlight Sue Forstat, Alana Thurman, and Michelle Sisson for their on-the-ground, after-hours direct outreach and engagement. Thank you. While I'm thanking people, I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude to those who make this celebration possible. It truly takes a village. Thanks to everyone who participated in the selection committees for your effort in reviewing the nominations, and special thanks to group leaders for guiding the committees in selecting the recipients. These decisions are not easy because there are so many nominees whose work and dedication are quite impressive. And I thank you very much to those who submitted the nominations. Of course, to today's honorees, thank you for all that you do, and congratulations for this distinguished honor. We applaud your contributions and greatly admire your work. Now, let's hear from our Chancellor, Dr. Sam Hawgood, to announce the 2021 Chancellor Diversity Awards winners.
Thank you, Renee, and good afternoon to you all. I'm pleased to be with you today at the Chancellor's Awards for Diversity's virtual celebration, and what a celebration it is. I am so proud of what we have achieved in this challenging time. Our society faces increasingly complex problems of social justice and polarization, right here in San Francisco and the Bay Area, in the United States, and around the globe. Perhaps foremost amongst these complex problems is the challenge of the growing inequity in our society, made even more apparent during the COVID-19 pandemic, as Dr. Navarro pointed out. But we here at UCSF have dedicated ourselves to dismantling structural racism in our systems and practices, eliminating discrimination and bias, and recommitting ourselves to living our pride values. The UCSF Anti-Racism Initiative, led by Vice Chancellor Navarro, sets the tone for this continuous work. We have recommitted ourselves to improving the experience at UCSF for all people across all roles, and we want to ensure that everyone has equal opportunity to thrive. While we are making progress, we have to continue to build on these efforts and bolster the important work that has already been done. Today's event is a celebration of this commitment towards equality, recognizing the work of those who truly embody the spirit of these awards. Now, we have a lot of award recipients to hear from today, so let's jump in and get started. Our first award is for the advancement of women, a recognition that has been in place at UCSF for 25 years. Let's watch the video for this year's recipient in the faculty category, Professor Tejal Desai.
I feel like I've been able to get where I am because of the mentors and the mentorship that I had all through my career. And so it's so important for me to now serve that role. I'm Tejal Desai, and I'm professor and chair of the Department of Bioengineering and Therapeutic Sciences. And I am honored to be selected as the Chancellor's Diversity Award for the Advancement of Women. So I came to UCSF about 15 years ago, and there weren't a lot of engineering faculty. And so part of what has motivated me is to make sure that nobody feels like they are other or don't belong. How could we make the field more inclusive, whether that was having faculty representation or having more students of color or women? And I think that's really motivated me throughout my career. How do I create a more inclusive scientific community? And at the same time, how do we make science a place that all people thrive? I think what the pandemic revealed were all of the sort of cracks that were in our system, particularly for women. I think that really was this catalyst to move even faster and to make sure that the leadership at large understood that this is something that could really impact the career of women for generations to come. My hope is that we create a scientific community that is supportive of each other, that helps each and every one of us achieve what they want to achieve as we both educate that next generation, but also as that next generation becomes leaders.
Congratulations on the award, Tejal. Thank you for all the work you do on behalf of all women here at UCSF.
Thank you. Chancellor Hoggood, Vice Chancellor Navarro, and my nominators. Thank you so much for this honor. So I want to take a moment just to talk about what this award means to me. It celebrates the advancement of women. And this is important because I am really here today because of the strong support of so many women scientists throughout my career. When I was advised to switch out of engineering my first year in college, it was really a senior woman in engineering, my research mentor, who gave me the confidence to stick with it. And the opportunity to come to UCSF almost 15 years ago was facilitated by a mentor, Dr. Sarah Nelson, who advocated for me behind the scenes and convincing others that engineering could really play a role at UCSF. So for me, it's not only about how can I be the best engineer or scientist, but how can I actively make this environment someplace where we can bring our whole selves? And while we have taken some steps, the pandemic, as I mentioned, has highlighted so many of the challenges that remain. And as someone in the trenches, I know it's my responsibility to step up, to guide that next generation, and to make sure they know they can succeed. I want to emphasize that this award represents the efforts of so many. My UCSF colleagues who jumped into action to help support early career faculty at the start of the pandemic. My BME, Unite, and AIMBE colleagues who were unafraid to push action at the highest levels, including the NIH. And of course, the passionate students at UCSF who have been fearless advocates for equity and inclusion and have really taught me how to be a better mentor, leader, and colleague. Finally, as a woman in science, I cannot underestimate the impact of my family, my husband and 3 children, and my parents, who are all watching, have been my biggest cheerleaders, encouraging me to be true to myself, but also striving to positively impact the community around me. So thank you so much for this tremendous honor, Chancellor Hagood, and congratulations to all of my fellow awardees. I am inspired by all of your achievements.
Thank you so much, Tejal, and I'm delighted that your family is able to watch this and share in the celebration. Your work and your commitment to making basic science more inclusive and more equitable is having an impact. So thank you again, and congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
And now the Chancellor's Award for Advancement of Women in the Postdoc category goes to Bridget Keenan. Let's watch Bridget's video.
Although about 50% of medical students are women, this number drops off significantly for those in MD PhD programs. I'm Bridget Keenan. I'm a current assistant professor in the Division of Hematology and Oncology. I'm thrilled to be receiving the Diversity Award this year for the advancement of women. I have been working in the area of advancement for women since I was in college. And I went on here as an internal medicine resident to found a group called WILD, or Women in Leadership Development. This really evolved from there to become a university-wide program. We found that women in other departments and divisions wanted to be part of a program like this. There are so many fantastic women in the field, and also so many more women in the pipeline. We talk about something called the leaky pipeline, where over time, women are less likely to move on to the higher levels of science and medicine. Even in a place like UCSF that shares these values of gender equity, I think sometimes we think we are not using biased thinking, but we are. And I would urge everyone to think about their biases when they're making decisions about hiring, about promotion. And I would also urge leaders to listen to women. We really need to be thinking about not fixing women, but fixing the systems and changing any institutional barriers that exist that hold back women from becoming leaders.
It's a wonderful video, Bridget. Would you like to say a few words live now?
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you. I'm very honored to be included with such an inspiring and well-deserving group at UCSF. First, I'd like to congratulate all of the other nominees for this award and the rest of the awardees for the Diversity Awards. I also want to thank my nominators, Drs. Ana Velasquez-Manana, Lexmi Santosh, and Maggie Gilbreth. While I cannot even begin to thank all of the many mentors and sponsors who have supported me along the way, I want to in particular thank Drs. Vanessa Thompson and Beth Harleman, who were our mentors for the Women in Leadership Development Program, also known as WILD. I've also been fortunate to have many mentors and sponsors, both men and women, that I should thank, who have encouraged me in my own career as a physician scientist. My interest in gender equity started when I was in college as part of a women's pre-health career group. So from the earliest parts of my career, I understood the value that affinity groups can provide in terms of support for those who are underrepresented in science or medicine. My work in gender equity has spanned now a couple phases of my medical training, and during each phase, I work to build networks and programs for women in medicine, often for women physician scientists who remain underrepresented compared to overall in medical training. So whether you identify as a woman or any other group that's underrepresented in medicine, it is very important to have mentors and role models who you can identify with. However, one point that is really crystallized for me during this work is that while those who are a part of underrepresented groups in science and medicine can support one another, the focus should really be not on fixing women or minorities, but rather systems that create institutional barriers to success. The COVID-19 pandemic was particularly detrimental to those who had caregiving responsibilities and brought to the surface many inequities in gender, race, and ethnicity that had already existed. So it's my hope that we can catalyze on the attention that the pandemic has brought to such issues rather than allowing it to be further regressive. I want to commend UCSF for their focus on disparities both within healthcare and the healthcare workforce, and I'm honored to be at an institution that shares my values. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for those words, Bridget, and thank you for emphasizing the role that working on systems play. It's clear that you are at the beginning of a wonderful career, and we'll be looking forward to your leadership in the future. So congratulations on this award, and thank you for your remarks.
Thank you.
At this time, I am pleased to present the Chancellor Award for Disability Service. Let's watch the video of our first awardee, Peter Larson, in the faculty category, who is being recognized today for going beyond his job to further accessibility and accommodation here at UCSF.
I see the scientific work and the advocacy work as really one and the same. If I am doing a good job advocating for all mentees, that is going to go hand in hand with doing a better job in our research projects. My name is Peter Larson. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Radiology and Biomedical Imaging, and I'm extremely honored to be receiving this Chancellor's Diversity Award for Disability Service. I think it's incredibly important for teachers, investigators, mentors to create an environment that's supportive of people with disabilities because they have so much to offer. I've worked very hard over the years to build up an environment where there are opportunities for a diverse group of trainees, where everyone feels like they are a contributor. And I think for UCSF as an institution, how important and seriously we want these principles of diversity, of inclusion, to be a cornerstone of our research environment. What inspires me so much every day is the people that I get to work with. And what I see in collaborations and in mentoring and training is that when those doors are open to more people with more perspective, with different types of background, it really just enhances the whole environment. It builds just this wonderful community, people coming from different perspectives, having experiences with disabilities. They're going to bring a very different perspective into, I think, what are maybe the goals of the research, or even when we're looking at some of our human imaging experiments. And we can even look, I think, for new areas of opportunity for innovation and new areas to move the technology into.
So welcome, Peter. Would you like to say a few words? Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much, Chancellor Hoggood, and I'm really, very humbled and extremely honored to receive this award. And I first wanted to, really acknowledge the Office of Diversity and Outreach for all that you do in promoting an environment at UCSF that is really inclusive of individuals with different abilities and different backgrounds. And I think these efforts are really going to pay off in creating creating a wonderful environment here. I think my receiving of this award, I think, represents what really we can all do every day to support those with disabilities, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion. I couldn't have received this award without having the opportunity to teach and mentor a really diverse group of people, including several with disabilities. And I think what we can all do is really look at the individual, each person, and look at them and say, what are their strengths? What are their talents? And it's very important that we look beyond these other factors. We look beyond their disabilities. We look beyond their disadvantages and look for the enthusiasm, look for the curiosity, look for the perspective they can bring, and think creatively about what can they contribute to our research enterprise, to our clinical enterprise, and then being creative in finding opportunities for these individuals who, in my experience, are some of the most dedicated and most curious researchers that I've worked with. And I think if we apply this thinking to all of our work, to all the people we work with, it's going to enrich our lives, it's going to enrich our research, it's going to enrich our community in numerous ways. And I really would not be here receiving this without the support of my wonderful colleagues who have also support this type of environment, as well as my research team who have really embraced these principles and this inclusivity and created an open and fun and productive environment. So thank you very much for this wonderful award.
Well, congratulations again, Peter, and thank you for your leadership and for your words, which are a real call for action. So thank you so much. And now the Chancellor's Award for Disability Service in the student category. Renee Zizolahi is this year's recipient. Let's take a moment and watch her video.
It's super amazing to be able to merge my passion of dentistry with my passion for advocating for individuals with disabilities. I want to help erase the stigma associated with disabilities. My name is Renee Zizolahi, and I'm a fourth-year dental student, and I'm so excited to be awarded the Diversity Award for Disability Service. Being awarded the Disability Service Award is really important to me. My why is my uncle. My uncle has a developmental disability called Williams syndrome, and he's been a big part of my life. So my uncle has inspired me to show that a disability doesn't define who you are, and it doesn't limit what you can do. And once I got into dentistry, I wanted to merge my passion for dentistry with my passion for advocating for individuals with disabilities. I've created a curriculum where we can teach dental students about disability service in dentistry and how to treat patients equally and create accessible care. We've also created partnerships with the ARC San Francisco, where we do outreach and oral screenings for adults with developmental disabilities, as well as a partnership with Keen San Francisco, where we get to go interact with children with disabilities, where we dance and swim. And now with COVID, we have been able to do dancing via Zoom. It's important to create an inclusive environment for everyone in our institution and beyond.
So congratulations, Renelle. What an inspiring story. Why don't you share a few more words with us?
Hello.
Congratulations. Hi.
Thank you, Chancellor Hoggood. I just wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to express how grateful and honored I feel to be awarded the Diversity Award for Disability Service. And thank you to UCSF, Chancellor Hoggood, and Vice Chancellor Navarro for recognizing disability service as an essential pillar of our institution. I wouldn't be receiving this award without my amazing mentors, Dr. Snea Oberoi, Dr. Glenn Essex, and Dr. Eva Bender, who have supported me and inspired me through all of my disability service work thus far. So thank you to them. I also wanted to thank everyone behind the scenes that have helped put this ceremony on, and in specific, Jillian Grisman and Lawrence Rickford and their team for the awesome video they made. What I do want you to take away from listening to me speak today is that no matter what type of disability someone may have, they deserve the same opportunities, recognition, and service as everyone else. As I continue my last year at UCSF as a dental student, I feel excited and privileged to continue growing our group of healthcare professionals committed to serving and advocating for the special care community, as this community is very close to my heart. Disability service is the foundation of an inclusive institution, and I'm so grateful to be a part of a university that recognizes, values, and is committed to this necessity. So thank you again, and congrats to all of the amazing awardees today.
Well, congratulations to you, Renelle, and it was a fabulous video. It's wonderful that you were able to share your story with us and to be making such a big difference in our community. So thank you again.
Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the recipients of the Chancellor Award for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership. This award recognizes the commitment and effort shown by each recipient to ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion at UCSF. This year's award in the faculty category goes to Ana Delgado. Let's watch the video.
I think in order to achieve true health equity, we need to do some very hard and painful work that is going to require letting go of and interrogating a lot of things that we kind of take for granted. My name is Ana Delgado. I'm a nurse midwife here at San Francisco General Hospital, and I'm so humbled to be a recipient this year of the Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Award. Primarily, I'm a midwife here. I also have an outpatient clinic I work at called Mission Neighborhood Health Center, and I do some teaching, mentoring, and service leadership as well. I started out actually as a community organizer, and so that orientation towards social justice has always been part of my background, and I sort of consider myself in many ways an activist first and a clinician second. The Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Award is important to me because of what Martin Luther King stood for. Really, at his core, he was a revolutionary, and he was asking for us to really examine a lot of the structures that keep people oppressed in our society. And so as a healthcare provider, looking at issues that are structural, like poverty, like houselessness, like state violence, and other forms of oppression is really it's really our job to look at those issues and examine them. How do we expand the conversation around reproductive rights to really talk about what do all families need to thrive? So it's not just about access to family planning or to abortion or to a safe birth. It's all of those things. And how do I live in a community where I can live to my fullest and I can raise my children without fear? And these are the things that, as a midwife, I really believe in. So my work extends not just to the labor room or the prenatal clinic, but also outside of these walls to really think about what does the community need to thrive?
Congratulations, Ana, and thank you for those powerful words. The camera's over to you now to add a little bit to what you've just said. Thank you. Hi, Ana.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chancellor Hoggood. Buenas tardes to everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank my husband, James, my children, Amelia and Luis, and my parents, Gustavo and Cecilia, for always supporting me every step of the way, all of the time. None of what I do or who I am would be possible without you. So thank you. And thank you to my nominators for believing in me. I accept this award on behalf of the many unnamed and unrecognized, primarily Black, Indigenous, queer, immigrant, and economically disadvantaged survivors of structural oppression who have been my teachers and my comrades in the many collective struggles I have been lucky enough to be part of over the years. As a midwife, I find myself in many privileged spaces, young people coming of age, families welcoming new babies into the world, people protecting their bodily autonomy by seeking abortion or preventing pregnancy, individuals exploring their sexuality, pleasure, or gender identity. The thread that connects all of these spaces is the fundamental human right to thrive, the right to live life to one's fullest potential with joy, free from violence, especially at the hands of the state. This belief is the framework of reproductive justice, which I referenced in the video, a movement birthed by Black women and a vision of the world that keeps me centered on my path. I recently had the opportunity to visit the place of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, the National Civil Rights Museum housed in the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. A quote attributed to Dr. King's father stood out to me. Suddenly, in a few seconds of radio time, it was over. My first son, whose birth brought me so much joy that I jumped up in a hall outside the room where he was born and touched the ceiling. The child, the scholar, the preacher, the boy singing and smiling, the sun, all of it was gone. I do not know if a midwife attended the birth of Dr. King at his childhood home on Auburn Avenue in Atlanta, where he was born. But if it had been me, I can surely say that my safekeeping of that precious space would have been of little comfort to the father of Dr. King at the time of his son's murder. This is why my job as a midwife cannot stop at the walls of the clinic or the exam room. Reproductive justice calls us to more. We are called to examine, dismantle, and rebuild the systems that we live and work within, even here at UCSF, where we operate within structures that are capitalistic, founded on white supremacy, and where sometimes people like me are seen as extremists. But in the words of Dr. King, from a letter written from Birmingham jail, the question is not whether we will be extremists, but what kind of extremists we will be. Will we be extremists for hate, or will we be extremists for love? I invite all of us to choose love. Fannie Lou Hamer, the famed civil rights activist, reminds us that nobody's free until we are all free. As a police and prison abolitionist, I believe this to my core. We know UCSF can do better. We must do better. Ready yourself for your own personal jailbreak and keep pushing towards freedom for all of us. Gracias.
Thank you, Anna, for those words, and congratulations again on the award, and thank you for your powerful advocacy.
Thank you.
And now, the Chancellor's Award for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership in the staff category. Let's take a moment to watch a video and recognize Asma Khan.
I think it's really important to stress that DEI work is not done alone. It is done in community, and it involves a lot of conversations. It involves placing yourself in uncomfortable settings and being all right with that, because in order to make change, we have to be uncomfortable. My name is Asma Khan. I'm the Director of Staffing and Strategic Operations at the Institute for Global Health Sciences, and I'm thrilled to be receiving the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Award for Leadership and Diversity. When I came to UCSF, I had come from a community-based organization in Oakland, which was incredibly diverse. And when I came to UCSF, I was really shocked and surprised by the lack of diversity. I felt like we could do a lot better. It was important to figure out how to have conversations on the importance of diversity. And so that led me to, over time, create the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, which has been an excellent place for us to start having these conversations. Every meeting that we have, there's agenda items that are talking about how can we do better in DEI? Why is this important to us as an institute? How do we keep pushing these actions? How do we really get to where we want to be, where we are truly embracing and becoming an anti-racist institution? I think it's really important for our staff to be more representative of the populations we work in, because that helps build different perspectives. It helps us look at programs differently. It challenges our assumptions. And I hope that we can take this continued work to keep growing and keep pushing to make sure that UCSF really truly is a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment.
Congratulations. Asma, why don't you join me now on the screen and say a few words about expanding on your experience here at UCSF, but congratulations.
Thank you, Chancellor, and my IGHS community for this award. Integrating DEI into the fabric of our institution, where it's not seen as extracurricular work, engaging into actionable conversations on power and privilege, acknowledging our own biases is the kind of work I'm extremely passionate about. This takes courage, humility, empathy, and both listening and speaking skills, all skills that we can individually and collectively develop. Everything I am comes from my lived experience. My parents have modeled all the traits and values that make me who I am today. Muslim immigrants from India, they came to the US for education and professional opportunities with only $8 in their pocket. They taught me how to be kind, care for others, speak up against injustice, and be proud. My oldest sister, who has severe autism, taught me patience, compassion, and gentle understanding of what cannot be communicated in words. And my older sister taught me the beauties of being bold, loud, courageous, and creative. My husband, an immigrant from the Dominican Republic, has taught me about optimism and sheer perseverance when faced with extreme odds. And my children remind me about the importance of simple joys, imagination, being silly, and living in the present. I'm fortunate to be part of a larger family, my UCSF family, who's just as supportive and kind. I'm honored to receive this award. I recognize it's named after Dr. King, who worked alongside so many others. Across UCSF, so many people, particularly BIPOC employees, have worked tirelessly on these issues. I am your champion and your partner. When my son was 5, he made this beautiful drawing of Dr. King. It reads, "No person has a right to reign on your dreams." My dreams keep me motivated and rejuvenated. They are fun and crazy and sometimes scary. I challenge everyone to dream wildly and act intentionally to break down the systems that uphold structural racism. This work is uncomfortable and downright difficult. So let's also make sure we take care of each other and ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Asma, and congratulations. We're so glad that you are sharing with us your experiences and working to make UCSF a better place for all. Thank you and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Our final Chancellor Award for the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership is in the student category, and it goes this year to Chase Webb. Let's watch our video recognizing Chase.
UCSF has a really long history of students driving activism. Students of color have done quite a bit to move the needle in the direction of equity and justice. I'm Chase Webb. I'm a 5th-year graduate student in the PSPG training program, and I'm delighted to receive this year's Martin Luther King Leadership Award. I've really liked chemistry since I was introduced to it in high school, and I was part of this NIH program called the Postbaccalaureate Research Education Program. It's a program that is designed to address the historical exclusion of some groups of people. So this program gave me a lot of opportunities to pursue research, and ultimately it's what helped me matriculate here at UCSF. So I guess I channeled what I had been taught, and I really focused on efforts to build community, and I think that has a lot of different levels. I think one aspect of building community is outreach, and to that end, I helped develop the Bay Area Youth Science, or BAYS program, and it basically entailed a 8-week paid internship where we got these students in the lab and we showed them how to do some basic biology. And I think you could see these students, like, you could see the spark kind of lit on under them, and they didn't know that this was an option for them, even though they lived right down the street from UCSF. And we're continuing that partnership, trying to help those students get into college, and eventually we hope to see them at UCSF one day. The problems that we face in the scientific enterprise are very difficult, and it's always advantageous to have a different perspective. And one very easy way to have a different perspective is to have a different lived experience. And so I think that by welcoming in these people that have historically been excluded, all we can do is strengthen our ability to solve difficult problems.
Thank you so much, Chase, and congratulations. Like all of the awardees, I'm just continuously amazed how much you can accomplish while you're continuing to advance your own career. So thank you. And now the mic is over to you.
Thank you very much. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the many people that have contributed to my journey, my scholarship at UCSF. First, I'd like to thank my family, Maud and Pa and Charles and Chad. You guys mean the world to me, and I'm just thankful that I was able to grow up with you and learn about how to live from you all. I'd also like to thank Chancellor Hawgood and Chancellor Navarro, as well as my nominators. And I just want to briefly speak on what this award means to me. I feel honored to receive this award, and I'd just like to take the opportunity to point out that upon the extreme events of last year, I felt inspired to become involved in some of the things that are already happening at UCSF. UCSF is a place where students have always driven activism, and I tapped into a network of people that were already doing quite a lot in addition to their studies to try to make UCSF a more just and equitable place. And these people mentored me, and they taught me and inspired me and guided me on how I could also contribute. And these are people like Nadia Ayad and Sean Ganther and Miriam Gordet. And these people really, truly need to be acknowledged, because those are the giants whose shoulders I stand upon. I'd also like to give a special thank you to Dr. Deanne Duncan, who luckily joined UCSF at the same time I did, and has taught me the fundamental value of building community and working together with people to achieve more justice and equity at UCSF. I think she's part of a legacy of many extremely capable and intelligent Black women that frankly have been leading in a lot of ways our charge to make UCSF a more just and equitable place. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be a part of this institution, and I'm happy that we're making strides to become more fair, more just, more equitable, and more inclusive.
Thank you, Chase. I certainly look forward to watching your career blossom and sharing in your future successes. And I hope, including some of your interns returning back here to UCSF for further training. So thanks for your leadership and everything that you do. Our final category today is the Chancellor Award for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex leadership. Let's watch the video that recognizes Jay Sevelius, our faculty member dedicated to advancing the rights of the LGBTQI community at UCSF.
It's one thing to acknowledge that communities exist, and it's another thing to really create the structural change that is needed to make sure that we all have access to the healthcare that we need in order to thrive. I'm Jay Sevelius. I'm a professor in the Department of Medicine, and I'm honored to receive the Chancellor's Award for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex leadership. I'm affiliated with the Center for AIDS Prevention Studies, as well as the Center of Excellence for Transgender Health. And my research focuses on building, testing, working with communities on interventions specific to improving health of transgender communities, with a focus on transgender women of color who are affected by HIV. I really was inspired to create a program of research and pursue research that aimed to be grounded in the lived experiences of transgender communities. I think what's so exciting to me about doing this work is that I have the opportunity not only to make scientific contributions, but I also get the opportunity to work with an incredible team and incredible community members. Transgender identities and diverse gender expressions are part of human nature. They're part of human experience and have always been part of human experience and always will be. And our research, our institutions, our healthcare systems really need to reflect that type of diversity in order to support our full expression of health.
Jay was unable to be with us live today, but they have prepared a video in advance. Join me in watching Jay as they remark further on receiving this award.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here to share in this celebration. I am deeply honored to have been selected to receive the Chancellor Award for LGBTQI leadership. My teams and I have been working for many years to advance health equity for transgender and gender diverse communities, and this work has been challenging and rewarding. It means so much to me that the work that I am so passionate about also resonates with others. Clearly, this work is not something that I do alone. There are many colleagues and team members who deserve to share in the honor of this award. I would specifically like to thank my nominator and mentor, Dr. Mallory Johnson, who has been a tremendous source of encouragement and support since the beginning of my faculty career here at UCSF. I would also like to thank my current team members, including Brianna McCree, Akira Jackson, Carla Kleins, Ellen Stein, as well as all of the incredible staff I've been so lucky to work with over the years. Thanks to my many collaborators, including Drs. Greg Rebchuk, Sherry Littman, Christy Gamarel, Sophia Zamudio-Haas, and Donna Barario. Thank you also to my many mentees from whom I learned so much. I'm so grateful to Drs. Margarita Lightfoot, Christina Mangurian, Susan Kegelis, Tor Nalins, Joanne Keatley, and Lisa Boleg for inspiring and guiding me. I am also grateful to my family and my spouse, Kat Butler, for their incredible support throughout my academic adventures. Last but not least, thank you to the UCSF Office of Diversity and Outreach for the important work that you do and for offering recognition for those of us who are passionate about creating environments for our diverse communities to thrive. I'm so deeply appreciative of this recognition. Thank you so much.
So congratulations, Jay, and thank you for being an advocate for those who need their voices heard. Our next recipient is Anya Bircher, who receives the award in the staff category. Let's watch the video.
For me, I think part of why I do this work is because of the history of how much trans folks and also Black, Indigenous, and people of color have been underserved in medical settings. My name is Dr. Anya Bircher. I'm a psychologist in student health and counseling services. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm humbled to be receiving the award for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and queer leadership. As a psychologist in student health and counseling services, I provide individual therapy to learners. Some of the pieces that have been important to contributing to the clinic environment have been working with staff, making sure that we're gendering people appropriately, making sure that we are honoring folks' lived name. Other things that can look like are facilitating conversations with staff. But I think ultimately, some of the highest impact work that can be done is for people who hold privilege or hold power in these spaces to examine what ways they continue to contribute to oppressive practices. To me, the small daily acts of resistance that people engage in to undermine white supremacist practices, undermine non-affirming practices, and everyone has the potential to contribute to those in order to identify other ways of working, other ways of valuing people and seeing people in their wholeness is essential to providing good care.
Anya, thank you for your work and leadership and you're now welcome to add a few more words.
Thank you, Chancellor Hogwood. I want to acknowledge that my work is not singular. My efforts to contribute to the ongoing projects of dismantling white supremacy and cis heterocentrism in our clinic and in our community would not be possible without the leadership and consultation of Drs. Jean Stanford and Justin Gibson, the LGBTQ and Multicultural Resource Centers, the LGBTQ Committee, participants and our participation of Student Health and Counseling Services staff, and all the work that precedes and inspired my efforts, including Janetta Johnson and Transgender, Gender Variant, and Intersex Justice Project, the Dismantling Racism Works organization, and so many more. While I humbly accept, it's with the hope that we recognize the collective efforts rather than the individual ones. If I'm receiving this award, I assure you, there's a queer, trans, Black, Indigenous person of color who is working harder to dismantle these harms in our communities, and they deserve your acknowledgement, recognition, and to be conspired with. In line with this, I want to acknowledge that Tuesday was Intersex Awareness Day, and to honor the efforts of Sean Saifa Wall, a Black, intersex, and trans activist and public health researcher, whose voice has been incorporated into the Movement for Black Lives policy platform on ending the war on Black health and Black disabled people, and whose work benefits us all. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Anya, and congratulations. I know you represent a very large number of people, as you so humbly point out, but we recognize your leadership for your work and the value you help us see in others. So thank you and congratulations. Our final award today is the Chancellor Award for Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, and Intersex Leadership in the student category. The recipient is Bradley Morgan. So let's watch a video about Bradley's work.
It was here at UCSF actually that I made the ultimate decision to medically transition, and this made me the first openly transgender student in the history of my program. My name is Bradley Morgan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm currently a fourth-year dental student. I'm extremely excited and honored to be this year's recipient of the Chancellor's Diversity Award for Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, and Intersex Leadership. Dental care can be extremely traumatizing for some people, so I kind of noticed how those traumas were multiplied with our queer and trans populations within the clinic as well. So very early on in my dental education, I got involved with our Gender and Sexual Diversity in Dentistry Alliance, which is our LGBTQ+ dental organization. And in my tenure as president of GSCDA, I worked with different members within our own organization and then also members across other dental institutions across the country to establish the first national LGBTQ+ dental organization that represents both dental professionals like myself and our patients as well in their interests. I've worked with clinic administrators to update our intake forms, to give lectures on best practices, to make our patients feel the most welcome and comfortable, to affirm their lived names, their lived experiences, their gender identity, pronouns, anything that you can think of, to make them just feel more comfortable basically in the patient care setting. So I think we've made a ton of progress already. Our clinics already feel more welcoming and accepting toward members of the LGBTQ+ community. So I'm very hopeful that, the future is bright and that the students and patients who come after me don't have the same struggles that I've had.
Congratulations, Bradley, and I welcome you now to share a few more words with us.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Hogwood. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bradley Morgan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm currently a fourth-year dental student at UCSF. I feel incredibly honored and humbled to be recognized by my peers and by the Chancellor as this year's student recipient of the Chancellor Award for Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, and Intersex Leadership. These past 4 years at UCSF have been some of the most transformative years of my entire life. UCSF was my dream school, and I had no hesitation in moving from my small Wisconsin hometown to San Francisco to begin what I hope to be a period of tremendous growth, both personally and professionally. This transition period took on a more literal meaning when I decided to begin hormone replacement therapy early on in my second year of dental school. I assumed the title of the first openly transgender student in the history of my dental program, while honoring all those who may have come before me but did not feel safe or comfortable disclosing their identities to their peers and educators. I was prepared for the personal challenges of assuming this new identity, but did not consider how much responsibility I would carry professionally as the first. I have spent my time at UCSF working diligently to collect data, analyze key findings, and present recommendations for changes to improve school climate, education, and patient care practices surrounding LGBTQ+ issues. My ultimate goal is to make UCSF a safe and affirming place to be trans, to be queer, whether you're a student, patient, staff, or faculty member. I'd like to quickly congratulate all my co-nominees and thank my nominators from the Gender and Sexual Diversity in Dentistry Alliance and the LGBTQ Resource Center, along with my mentors, Dr. Gwen Essex and Dr. Michael Lay, who have been some of the biggest supporters here at UCSF. I also give gratitude to my family and friends, many of them on this call right now, who love and support me because of who I am and not in spite of it. Finally, I'd like to honor the pioneers of the LGBTQ+ liberation movement, many of them Black and brown trans women who fought so hard to change the culture of an entire nation and give me the courage to exist proudly in society today. I look forward to continuing this important work throughout my final year, and I thank you all once again for this tremendous honor.
Thank you, Bradley. Sharing your journey will no doubt make a difference for so many. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Let me end the program by thanking you all of today's recipients for the work that you do, and all of those who were nominated but we have not heard from today. Thank you for the work that you do every day in this important area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are inspired by each one of you. You remind us what it truly means to be part of the UCSF community. So again, our thanks to those of you who took the time to nominate your colleagues and for reminding us how much we have to celebrate here at UCSF. To Tiffany Chan, Denise Leong, Mike Billings, and Brenda G, who worked together to produce today's event. And to Kyle Van Oka, John Tees, and Isaac Conway, working their magic with me here in the studio to make this all happen. My thanks to Vice Chancellor Renee Navarro and her team in the Office of Diversity and Outreach for their continued efforts towards our goal of true inclusivity. I want to remind everyone who hasn't already done so to please take the time to complete the climate survey. We need your help in ensuring that all who work and learn here feel empowered and valued, and this survey will help us get to that goal. I thank you all for what you do every day to make UCSF special and for working with us to make sure a special UCSF includes everyone. We will close today with music composed, mixed, and edited by Kevin Wong, along with the support of San Jose Jazz. I hope you enjoy the song, and I wish you a very good afternoon. Thank you all for being here.